A lot of businesses, you see the water's literally coming up to their...
And then freezing them when the bottom dropped out of the temperatures on Friday afternoon. Had a chance to talk.
Punishing winter weather continued for residents of BC's south coast on Tuesday, with wind and heavy rain raising new concerns about flooding. The City of Vancouver issued an advisory warning of moderate to elevated flood risk for low-lying areas near the ocean, due to an exceptionally high tide combined with forecast strong winds creating a storm surge. Tuesday's high tides were scheduled for 9:44 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. The city closed the seawall from the Lions Gate Bridge to English Bay, and in front of the kids' pool as a precaution. Both of those areas saw significant damage during a similar storm surge and king tide last January. The city also warned of flooding near the Fraser River, English Bay, False Creek and Burrard Inlet. Low-lying areas in the floodplains will be at an elevated flood risk and may experience overland flooding. These include Southlands, Fraser River floodplain, and Locano Spanish Banks. As of early afternoon, the city said there had been localized flooding in several areas, and that staff were working hard to respond. The Vancouver Park Board said early indications suggested improvements made to the seawall to address climate disasters like last year's damaging storm surge had been successful. We still continue to see high king tides through the early part of this week, but really the highest of those water levels was earlier today, Dave Campbell with the BC River Forecast Centre said Tuesday. We anticipate those are going to improve as we go through the week. Hopefully we're past the worst of it. Residents of Delta's Beach Grove and Boundary Bay neighborhoods were issued similar warnings, and the city set up sandbag distribution points at Seaview Road, the 1A Avenue boat launch, the 3rd Avenue beach access and 16th Avenue beach access. Numerous waterfront areas in Delta, including the Ladner Harbour Park Dock, the Elliott Street Wharf, the entrance to Centennial Beach at the 12th Avenue Dyke and the Ladner Government Wharf, were closed due to rising waters. Much of BC's south coast, including Metro Vancouver, the North Shore, the Fraser Valley, Howe Sound, and West, South and East Vancouver Island were under flood watches Tuesday. There is a risk of flooding and high river levels because of ice-clogged drains and the ground being too frozen to absorb the water. Northern parts of Metro Vancouver remained under a rainfall warning, with Environment Canada forecasting between 60 and 120 millimeters of rain by Wednesday morning. Howe Sound faced a triple barrage of weather alerts, with both wind and rainfall warnings coupled with a special weather statement about possible flooding. The area, including Squamish, was forecast to see northerly outflow winds of 70 km per hour gusting to 90, along with between 60 and 120 millimeters of rain by Wednesday. Greater Victoria and the southern Gulf Islands were also facing wind warnings, with the southeast winds of 70 km per hour gusting to 90 km per hour forecast, shifting to westerly 70 km per hour gusting to 90 Tuesday night. Parts of Vancouver's seawall have flooded as the city gets lashed with high winds and a king tide. The Yaletown seawall near Roundhouse Community Centre was submerged under several feet of water, although some rainbow-colored lights could still be seen below the surface. Environment and Climate Change Canada has issued a special weather statement over the expected flooding, which is predicted to impact low-lying infrastructure facing the ocean. The City of Vancouver also closed sections of the seawall because of the storm surge risk. A king tide combined with a significant storm surge of ocean water from the incoming storm is anticipated to raise the tide to a historic high, the city said in a statement. The tide reached its highest point at 9:40 a.m., the city said in a tweet where it also had some song lyrics for residents. The tide was high, but we were holding on, the city tweeted. Staff worked hard responding to localized flooding. As waters recede, please be careful near the water or floodplains, obey any closure signs and don't drive through flooded roads. Areas near the Fraser River, English Bay, False Creek and Burrard Inlet are at particular flood risk, according to the city. As a precaution, Vancouver closed the Stanley Park seawall from the Lions Gate Bridge to English Bay, as well as near Kitsilano Pool.